Across 2 days in mid-September of 1994, ZBC radio in southern Africa was inundated with calls reporting strange sightings in the sky. Some described what they saw as a bright fireball in the sky at night. Others called it a meteor or comet. 2 days later, on the morning of September 16th, is where our story begins. 14 miles from the capital city of Harare sits a small farming town called Rua. In Rua was the Ariel School attended by children of wealthy families. What they allegedly saw that morning would change their lives forever. At around 10 a.m., students were outside on their mid-morning break while the adults were inside having a meeting. Suddenly, one or more silver objects, mostly described as discs, floated down from the sky, landing in a field of brush and small trees near the school. Some students were so scared they immediately ran away, but many others stayed put, although some that stayed were so frightened they began to cry. 1 to 4 creatures with large eyes wearing all black exited the craft and approached the children. When they got near, they began to communicate telepathically. It is claimed that their message was that of an environmental warning. One student claimed they were warned about pollution on Earth, while another said that they were told we were harming the planet with our technology. Another claimed to have received a more ominous message that the world was going to end because we are not taking care of the Earth. The whole ordeal only lasted about 15 minutes, after which the rest of the students returned to the school and told the adults what had happened, but were dismissed as you might expect. Students then told their parents once they returned home, some of which took things more seriously and came to the school the next day to discuss the alleged incident. Just 3 days after the incident, the BBC was already in town, sending a reporter who was told by numerous farmers from the area that they too saw the object that day. An air traffic control operator also told him that the object was picked up on their radars. UFO expert Cynthia Hind also had her turn at interviewing the children.
We were playing down over there on the log.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny, so we all ran down over there.
And it was in the early morning?
It was at break time.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny. And we saw two people. They were in tight black suit. And they had big eyes. And we didn't actually see their nose. It was quite small. And their mouth was quite small as well. I couldn't see the eyes or the nose or the mouth. It was just blank. Like a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm. It was sort of like a round shape, sort of like a plate, sort of like 2 plates that were sort of like on top of each other. Then there was sort of like the hole, the hatch for it, and there was sort of like in between 2 trees. But you couldn't see that clearly, and it was just silver all over. And I didn't see any men or something.
Where the spaceship had landed, all the insects and ants and stuff like that were all dead, and there was a huge black mark there.
You have nightmares about it?
Yes, I used to, but then after about a year, I stopped dreaming about it.
Mm-hmm.
I dreamt that the same one I saw without hair, he came into my bedroom and he took me from my bed.
I wasn't scared a bit.
No, not at all.
Nothing. It was all fun to me.
Some people say that people are saying that the aliens came to warn us when something's going to happen, that something bad is going to happen to the Earth.
Yeah. I think they came here to try and warn us that the children, because we're young,
got a long time.
We've got a long time till we die. To warn us that when we're older, there's something going to happen to the Earth.
Yeah, not to pollute. Because we're young, we can still prevent it.
Yeah.
She would ask some of them to draw what they had seen. Seeing these images, it's no wonder they were so scared by what they claimed to have witnessed. According to Hind, the roughly 60 students that were witnesses told her a consistent story, but other students said they had seen nothing that day. What really happened that morning? It was later suggested that they saw a plane, but the children were adamant that was not the case. Some students later said they did not believe the beings they saw were aliens at all. They believed they had seen a dwarf-like evil water spirit known as a tokolosh from African folklore. It is also theorized that it was a coordinated prank by one or more students. While the school was rural, the students were from wealthy families and likely had access to media that would make the concept of UFOs and extraterrestrials known to them. The prank theory is heavily backed up in a Netflix production called Encounters. A former student named Dahlin claims he carried out the prank himself.
So did you see the UFO?
No, I didn't see the UFO. I made up the whole thing. I can't see it now, but at the time there was a rock, a very, very shiny rock, and it was shining in the sun. And, so I pointed at him like, look, yeah, there's a spaceship, there's an alien. And the grade 1s, grade 2s like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, aliens. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. You're seeing all these people literally pointing at a rock and saying it's a UFO. But that's the thing with children, is that they do play these imaginary games. And before you know it, they really, truly believe it.
So it definitely was not a rock. I know what a rock is.
Skeptic Brian Dunning claims the fireball seen in the days before the Ariel School sighting was simply a Zenit 2 rocket from the Cosmos 2290 launch from a few weeks prior, re-entering the atmosphere. It is understandable that a rocket re-entry could be misidentified and would certainly contribute to some level of mass hysteria in the area. It is possible that the stories from the beginning were misleading. When the children were initially interviewed, they were not spoken to individually, they were in groups of 4 to 6. It is entirely plausible that the consistency of their stories is simply due to the students repeating details they had just heard others say before they were questioned. Although some of the former students are steadfast with their stories to this day, in 2014 one of the witnesses said she was still terrified that they would one day return. One of the most public tellings of the story recently was that of Za from Barstool Sports, who was there that day. In 2021 on the show The Dog Walk, he told his story.
So it was recess, and just all of a sudden, all the teachers were like in a teachers meeting. All of a sudden, this bright fucking thing just appears in the sky, right? Very, very, very bright. It's a farming area, it's a farming town. So outside of our fences, it's just plain farmlands. So you can see shit just miles and miles, there's crops or whatever. We just see this thing coming out of the sky. All the kids just run towards the fence to go check this out. Because you're young, you're curious, you're like, what the fuck is going on? You've never actually seen anything like this. Bright saucepan thing, falls, comes to the ground. Little men pop out, bright as fuck. A teacher came out at that particular time and was able to actually see the thing as it was leaving, kind of deal. And that's what validated, for lack of a better term, that's what validated.
So it wasn't
the whole,
just a bunch of children.
It wasn't a bunch. So it was a lot of people that saw it. It wasn't just a bunch of people. That's what validated it. And they're like, holy shit, something did go on, kind of deal. So what happens then now, right, is other people in like the surrounding farms and farm workers, everyone in that area saw that bright thing.
Obviously, it's tough to outright say, yes, these children came into contact with a UFO and the aliens that were aboard in a field in Zimbabwe in 1994. I do not believe they saw a plane. These children knew what a plane in the sky looked like, and the details of the story would not indicate the craft being a plane. It did not simply fly over, it landed and the beings allegedly made contact with some of the witnesses. I do not believe they saw a tokolosh. Some had surely been taught the legend from a young age. It's common when humans don't understand what they are seeing to fill in the blanks with information they do have. I do not believe the encounter was a prank. While it's likely some of the details were brought to light by cross-contamination during the interview process, there are too many people like Za that to this day stand by and continue to tell their stories. The prank that Don claims to have carried out could carry some weight, but the details vary too much in my opinion from the quote, official story from that day. Dallin himself also does not come away sounding very trustworthy or believable in the Netflix series, in my opinion. As outlandish as it may seem, I do believe they saw a craft and beings that day. If I believe there is intelligent life that we don't yet understand, then an encounter with this many witnesses has to be believed on some level. Unfortunately though, this incident happened nearly 30 years ago and there's no physical evidence left. All we have to go on are the stories from the people that were there that day.